Preach up. Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half staff, calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who were mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home, tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life. I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live.
Very well said, Pastor. Very, very. In my mother's words, the truth is the light. Welcome, welcome. I am Dena, and this is Discussions with Dena. My. Some of you are completely wilding out. Especially government officials and some of you followers of Charlie Kirk in positions of power. And I don't mean that in a good way. Your actions appear to be odious and just audaciously malicious toward people who fundamentally disagree with, or those who may find themselves indifferent and even celebratory or in disagreement regarding the demise of a one Charlie Kirk. What is this? Authoritarian? Is it an authoritarian government and country now? Because this certainly appears a lot like authoritarianism being practiced. Freedom of speech now is only allowed when it is against speech against someone that the people in authority disagree with. Some of you are guilty of using your positions, your titles, your political ideologies and influence to take this incident as an opportunity to silence free speech. And you are bogarting your will onto and upon the masses. People who profoundly reject Charlie Kirk's message. They reject his associations and his significance in their life. And that's perfectly fine.
For these blacks trying to go rob her, happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. Black crime is a major issue in our country. Why are you pushing criminal justice reform exactly? Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Now, the southern border is, of course, the great replacement. They're trying to replace us demographically. They're trying to make the country less white. It is an anti-white agenda. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Taylor Swift is now engaged to Travis Kelce. This is something that I hope will make Taylor Swift more conservative. Reject feminism. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. America was at its peak when we halted immigration for 40 years and we dropped our foreign-born percentage to its lowest level ever. Miss Rachel, you quote Leviticus 19, love your neighbor as yourself. The chapter before affirms God's perfect law when it comes to sexual matters. In Leviticus 18 is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Can we get that picture up, Ryan, of that Marvel's Avenger team? Now, I don't know who the person is on the left. Is the person on the left that came and did the interview with Joe, the TikTok? Your government is being run by freaks. It's like immediately I have like a flashback to a country where weren't able to do Bud Light commercials. What does being trans even mean? Is that even a real thing? It means you need therapy. We must ban trans-affirming care the entire country. I do think that there is a direct correlation between someone's testosterone and their politics. On young men, the lower their testosterone, the more likely they are to be Democratic.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was going to give birth and she would, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered. When blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today, they were less murderous, there was less break-ins. Why is that?
So I'm sorry, are you trying to say that blacks thrive under subjugation?
No, I'm not. I'm saying I'm asking you the question. The data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad, it was evil, but what happened? Something changed.
Some GOP lawmakers and officials are signaling to punish people for their free speech. Conservative activists are now out here collecting and publicizing social media posts and profiles that they say, according to them, celebrated his death and are calling for them to lose their jobs. You are in your emotions and you are upset that others do not feel about this person as you do. So you want to control what they say, when they say it, and how they say it. There have been well over 30 people across the country that have been reported to have been fired, put on leave, investigated, or asked to resign because of their social media posts that criticize Charlie Kirk or express their own sentiments in regards to his homicide. Even gone so far, people in authority, as to encourage other Kirk supporters to go to their social media who do not support him and see if they made remarks, to go to their profile picture, even if it doesn't have a name or a photo, and download it and reverse image search it. And this was suggested by an influencer by the name of Joey Manareno, instructing them to cross-reference it with their LinkedIn profile and find their place of employment and call their place of employment and leave Google reviews. Are you people okay? Because at this point, you're wilding. Republican elected officials with large followings, along with Laura Loomer and Libs of TikTok, are sharing screenshots of what they consider to be offending posts, and they demanded action. What action do you want? You want these people's livelihood taken so it can help you feel better about your emotional state at this point. I don't think anyone would condone the manner in which this man's life was taken. But aren't you the same people that supported this person who upheld the First Amendment? But now you want to punish others who are exercising their own right, First Amendment rights? You are complete hypocrites, and you are abusing your positions of authority, and you really should be challenged and voted out of office for trying to institute such a precocious agenda. Sounds like individuals are completely drunk with power, trying to force others to accept and have empathy for a person that had an antiquated ideology rooted in anti-blackness. He spewed some venomous dialogue and beliefs. And if you disagree with me on that, that's perfectly okay. But if I choose to reject what it is that he said or how he said it, I should not be punished. And that is the problem with those of you who are in power at this point in time. There is simply no way that people who hear his words and are affected by what he said, and we've heard this 1,000 times as black people, would see this person that is upholding the white supremacy that has been part of American history. Nothing that this person said is new. As black people, we've heard this nonsense, and we don't hold him in the same esteem as some of you would. We do not see and accept this as martyrdom. We understand that a person lost his life, but we can still disagree with that person and not with the manner in which his life was taken. NPR compiled a list from news reports of at least 33 people who lost their jobs or are under investigation over posts.
The U.S. became a... I say this with full awareness that this is a hot button topic, but it shouldn't matter how you feel about Charlie Kirk. If you were a fan, if you were not a fan, to question when the U.S. became a country that demands you mourn an individual's death or dictates that you do it in a certain way or be punished. How do we square that with the land of the free? People are currently losing their jobs. They're being arrested, they're being doxxed, and most importantly, as it pertains to the First Amendment, they are being attacked by the U.S. government for the free expression of their opinion. The behavior and fallout from the government and the pressure that they have put on everything from private industry to news media to academia to police the words and behavior of their employees should be alarming to everyone, no matter their political persuasion. This governmental decree that the citizens of this nation behave in a certain way over the death of someone they may or may not have known or may not have liked or agreed with or face repercussions is wholly un-American and the harbinger of a real and impending loss of our individual rights. Charlie Kirk himself was a defender of free speech. He didn't believe in hate speech. So to limit the First Amendment in his name feels both disingenuous and opportunistic. To use his death to do the very thing he preached against in his life should be a problem, especially for the biggest Charlie Kirk fan. You don't have to agree with what someone says, but you should, as an American, support their right not to be attacked by their government for saying it.
Reports of at least 33 people who lost their jobs or are under investigation over posts, and that was since last Friday. Of course, that number is much bigger. Most were said to be public school teachers, with at least 21 educators in school districts across the country fired, put on administrative leave, or placed under investigation by their employers. Firefighters, members of the military, a sports reporter, an employee of the Carolina Panthers, and a city council official in Indiana. All of these people have faced similar treatment or have been called to resign. Why are you asking these people to resign? Because you are in your emotions. And you agreed with Charlie Kirk. But you live in a so-called country that allows you the right to disagree. Even one of these prominent firings was MSNBC analyst Matthew Dodd, a former Republican political consultant to President George W. Bush. He made a comment on TV that attracted widespread backlash. Now, he is said to have noted that no details were known at that time, and he only speculated whether or not it was a supporter who fired the gun in celebration. He went on to say Kirk was constantly pushing hate speech aimed at certain groups. Did he lie? And then he stated, I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. There is much truth to those words that he spoke. So after he made these comments, that's when it was confirmed that this person lost his life. He was simply making a comment about the incidents. I don't think that was celebratory. And it's so hypocritical because much of what this man said needed to be challenged. It should be questioned. And it should not just simply be accepted because you agree with that ideology. It's not a new ideology. It's not a new talking point. Although it is geared specifically for a younger generation. It's almost a recruitment tool. And there's just no denying much of what this guy, Charlie Kirk, said was inflammatory, combustible. It was degrading and insulting. Conversations where he questioned the intellectual capacity or capability of black women and black people, and women in general. Then to say that some gun deaths were worth it to have the Second Amendment asserted. Then speaking on the 1964 Civil Rights Act, saying it was a mistake. Really? We're supposed to look at this ideology as if it came from somebody with such spiritual depth and insight, such thought-provoking insight. No, it wasn't. It's not acceptable, and we don't have to be empathetic to such dialogue. We've heard this a million times as black people. You're not good enough. You're not this. You're not that. And we've proved it wrong a million times. But I think what was different about this person is that you like the appeal for the new age. But history is the best teacher. And using this guy's demise as an alibi to push and deliver nefarious retribution upon others whom are not in alignment with Kirk's time-worn, so-called new age, yet still antiquated propaganda is hypocritical. And it is seen by most as merely nothing more than a regeneration of America's persistent history of promoting anti-blackness, advocating for and maintaining a problematic belief system that is undeniably rooted in white supremacist philosophy. It's not new to America. It's not even new to the world. It's not revolutionary, nor is it punitive. Just simply more of the same old, same old. New actor revising the same old script of an old playbook we've seen and heard and read about time and time again. Only this time, the message is unmasked, unmasqueraded, pinpointed, and focused on recruiting a new generation or audience to reinforce and continue the series. A new scene, a new backdrop, but this is the same old familiar script. And it is quite disturbing to say the least, seeing and hearing officials threatening people with arrest and losing their livelihood over free speech. Not that speech does not necessarily come with repercussions, but the nefarious intent of some of you public officials in positions of power is beyond problematic. It appears to be a downright sinister agenda at its core, hinging on complete abuse of power. And then to try and have some kind of Charlie Kirk bill. Really? And you think we are not aware of the purpose of this? We can agree or disagree that some responses to the incident may appear to be in poor taste. It might even be unsuitable and even insensitive. But that is a matter of one's own judgment. There is no reason for you government officials to take away people's livelihood when it comes to having an opinion on this personality or person. To see so many high-level hypocritical politicians using their bully pulpit is just disturbing and borderline wicked. To insist on terminating one for their views and responses for opposing a clearly racist viewpoint. It's irrational, it's outlandish, and just plain ridiculous to say the least. And what we're looking at, people, is a clear abuse of power.
I just watched Donald Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, go live on Fox News and spend multiple minutes calling for the destruction of radical left institutions. He's going absolutely insane.
But the last message that Charlie Kirk gave to me before he joined his creator in heaven was he said that we have to dismantle and take on the radical left organizations in this country that are fomenting violence.
Out of all of the things that never happened, this one definitely never happened. How shameless is it to go on Fox News a few days after somebody who you claim to be a friend died, and you say, the last thing this person told me is they want the destruction of the enemy, and I'm going to enact that. Wow. And it's not just Stephen Miller. Right before this on Fox News, Brian Kilmeade was saying that maybe homeless people should be involuntarily euthanized.
They have given billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it have to get to this point?
Right.
Or involuntary lethal injection, and they agree. This is batshit. This is absolutely absurd. And this is a Fox News host saying this in front of millions of people, while Stephen Miller is over here spazzing out in front of millions of people on Fox News.
The Trump administration initiated the biggest assault on the First Amendment in our country's modern history. Listen for yourself to Vice President Vance, Stephen Miller, and Attorney General Pam Bondi.
But you have a role too. Civil society, Charlie understood this well, is not just something that flows from the government. It flows from each and every one of us. It flows from all of us. So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer.
It's a vast domestic terror movement. And with God as my witness, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name.
We will absolutely target you, go after you, if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
This is the time where every American must stand proudly for free speech and our freedom.
White man, white man, white man, white man, white man, white man.
So a white man shoots another white man, and then a bunch of white men get together and chant how white men need to fight more. I don't know, I think the problem might be white men.
But tell me what you think about this topic. Subscribe and leave your comment. Do you think officials are using this opportunity to usher in a bigger agenda? And do you think people should lose their jobs for speaking on, about, or against Charlie Kirk? I want to know what you think about this topic. I want to thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and join me next time for another discussion with Dena. Ta-ta!
This concludes your daily discussions with Dena. Join us Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.
Tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican. He had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. It begs the question, when you see a black pilot, you wonder, you say, I hope they are qualified. And in the spirit of affirmative action, we have Ramon and Cadillac are your two pilots. They've never flown before, but they are black. If I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, is she there because of her excellence, or is she there because of affirmative action? I'm only here because of affirmative action. And we know you do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. The war on white people continues. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles. LeBron James is a self-interested, narcissistic, and we know he's not very smart. You're representing your nation. You're selfish sociopath, not very bright, not wise, not somebody of good character. She is a shame to the country. Blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today. Data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. Let's get loud for Kyle Rittenhouse. I'm also going to offer some context and some nuance about the death of George Floyd that no one dares to say out loud, which is that this guy was a scumbag. Remember what BLM stands for? Burn, loot, and murder. Now, does that mean it deserves to die? That's two totally different things. Of course not. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. There's no such thing as white privilege or racism. So black people are allowed to talk about black culture in a way that white culture cannot. Black people can go up and say that there's a baby mama problem in black America, and white people are not allowed to say that. Oh, I just did. So what are you going to do, cancel me? Black people are allowed to say, black people are allowed to say, I'm a grown man, I got way black people are allowed. Skin color now gets their own summertime celebration. Oh, wow, look how far blacks have come. It has now become a racial complaining day. Thomas Sowell and Justice Clarence Thomas are far better black role models to celebrate than Martin Luther King. This guy is not worthy of a national holiday. There's a mythology around MLK that does not warrant the reverence that he gets treated with in America. We have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. We celebrate the Civil Rights Act more than the American founding. The country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act.
Why did you say that the Civil Rights Bill should be overturned?
I didn't say that. I said it was a mistake.
Why? That's crazy.
Now you gotta figure it out.
I wouldn't be here. That's trouble.
The Democrats are not lifting a finger to remember the well over 100 people that have died in Texas Hill Country. The death toll likely would not have been as high if it wasn't for DEI. Ketanji Brown Jackson is what your country looks like on critical race theory. You're gonna remove my appendix and you're a black lesbian. Ketanji Brown Jackson is an embodiment of the tyranny that we currently live under. She's an ideological, unintelligent, yet confident fanatic. Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? So she wants to be the first ever black woman on the Supreme Court, yet she won't even admit that she's a woman. The transgender movement is an introductory phase. These doctors need to be put in prison to get you to strip yourself of your humanity, a Nuremberg-style trial to mesh with machines. Interestingly, I think there is an argument to bring back the MRS degree. Reject feminism. Young women need to get married at a younger age and start having kids. I'm studying sociology. No, you're not. We know why you're here. Submit to your husband, Taylor. You're not in charge. You will find a husband if you have the intent to find a husband. You got to change your name. If not, you don't really mean it.
Democrat women want to die alone without children.
A lot of them are on birth control too, and birth control really screws up female brains, by the way. That's really rich. I didn't know women not to complain 50 years ago. That's funny. We should tell them to stop freezing their eggs and start finding their partner earlier and have lots of babies. Every single one of you need to make sure that your loved ones are not on birth control. It's so materially insane to think that 1 in 5 American women will be raped in their life.
It is. I agree.
No, meaning that they're lying about being raped.
You're comparing abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse because Jewish donors have been the #1 funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies. And by the way, and this is my other problem with death penalty, it takes too long, too many appeals. It should be public, should be quick, should be televised. Well, at what age should you start to see public execution?
16. I think you could do it earlier. I think you maybe at age 12.
I want to watch that execution. That'll make my day better. A lot. I mean, Joe Biden is a bumbling, dementia-filled, Alzheimer's, corrupt tyrant who should honestly be put in prison and or given the death penalty for his crimes against America. The Democrat Party believes everything that God hates. Like, we're dealing with maggots, vermin, and swine here. These are not good people. They're not even a little bit good. In fact, I know people that went to Haiti passively as like agnostic atheists, and they came back searching for Jesus because they saw like legit demonic activity. Kamala Harris wants to see the elimination of the United States of America. Democrat Party supports everything that God hates. There's not much you can do, folks. You have a government that hates you. You have a traitor as president. Buy weapons. I keep on saying it. As top Republicans reject any link between GOP rhetoric and Paul Pelosi assault. If some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. Native-born Americans, you better buy weapons, everybody. Have a lot of guns at your disposal. I would never leave your home without a weapon. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. We actually need looser gun laws, because I think that oh yeah, they said we have more guns at the Turning Point HQ. There should be
free school lunch for all children.
No,
Why?
of course not, because parents should feed their kids, not the government.
What if they can't?
Go get a job.
A child?
You know, the parents should go get the job.
Yeah.
This is important.
They have jobs and they can't support their children there because the minimum wage is so low.
No, you are a temp, dude. Don't give me this stuff. First of all, this is really.
I want children to eat.
Of course I do. Show me a single child in America going hungry. Doesn't exist. Number two, we have churches, we have food shelters, we have billions, and it does not exist. We have a child obesity problem, not a child starvation problem in this country.
That's the type of guy he was. The absolute worst. So for people saying, oh, we need to have sympathy for his wife and kids and stuff. Nope, absolutely not. Because this guy has had years upon years upon years with no sympathy or empathy for any other kids or any other families.